I was bitten by a stray cat, and now I'm turning into one. I am an animal lover. I have been my whole life. Well, as far back as I can remember, that is. Growing up, my parents and I had a lot of pets. Dogs, cats, hamsters, chickens, we even had a pig named Bubbles, that lived in the house with us for a little while, but he wandered off one day, and never came back. Anyway, when I graduated high school, I realized it was about time I moved out, and started my own life. I had gotten a job at Chelsea's, a small family-owned restaurant in town, when I turned 16, and made just enough money to rent a room somewhere. So, I did. I rented a room off Jack, a co-worker of mine from Chelsea's. Anyway, it's a small studio apartment, over the garage. Now, Jack only has 3 rules: no drugs, no alcohol, and no pets. So, I had to get used to not having any animals around. It was a little depressing, not waking up to a little fuzzy face licking your nose. Anyway, the other morning, I was walking out to my car, leaving to go to work, when I saw this tan and white cat sitting under the bush, at the bottom of the stairs. "Hey, kitty," I said, as I waved to it, and proceeded to work. I told myself, as I was driving, if the cat's still there when I get home, I'll pick it up, put it in the car, and take it to my parents' house. Well, I got off work around 4, drove home, and sure enough, the cat was still there. I knelt down beside the bush, and extended my hand under it, as if I was going to pet the cat. "Hey there, little buddy. Are you hungry?" I said. Suddenly, it lunged forward and bit me, between my thumb and forefinger, hard enough to draw blood, then took off across the yard. "Son of a bitch," I screamed, as I covered my hand with my other hand, ran up the stairs, opened the door, and ran into the bathroom, to clean it up. It hurt really bad. Anyway, I stopped the bleeding, poured peroxide on it, dried it off, put gauze over the bite, then wrapped my hand in an ace bandage. Now, I've never been one for going to the doctor. I mean, if I can't walk, or breathe, or see, or anything like that, then yeah, I'd go. But other than that, I just man up and deal with it. Anyway, I was watching TV, eating my dinner, when I realized my hand was swollen, and turning purple. I took off the ace bandage, and the gauze, letting it air out for a while, hoping the swelling would go down. By the time I went to bed, the swelling had gone down a little. I turned off the TV, and turned off all the lights. I decided to leave the door open, to let some fresh air in. Now, this is where everything began to get weird. I woke up this morning, I sleep naked by the way. Anyway, I rolled out of bed, landing on my hands and knees. I began to walk toward the kitchen like that, until I realized what I was doing, and stood upright. What the hell, I thought. I walked to the kitchen to get a drink of water, because for some reason, my mouth was extremely dry, which never happens. I grabbed a cup from the cabinet, turned on the cold water, filled it up, brought it to my mouth, and began to lap it up with my tongue. I, again, realized what I was doing. I then threw the cup in the sink. The water splashed back on me. It hit my skin, and freaked me out. I stepped back quickly, so not to get hit by any more. What the fuck is wrong with me? I said to myself. I then looked at the bite on my hand. It was bright red and pulsating. Suddenly, I picked up a scent. I began sniffing the air, around the kitchen, into the living room, and finally the bathroom. As I walked into the bathroom, I dropped down on my hands and knees once again, and stuck my head between the sink and the toilet. And that's when I saw it, a mouse. It looked delicious. With lightning speed, I reached around the toilet, and snatched him up with one swipe. I held him in my hand, the same hand that was bit, and proceeded to rip its head off with my teeth, and chewed on it like a meatball. I was right. It was delicious. I finished the rest of him shortly after. I then attempted to stand up, but soon realized I couldn't. I then felt a sharp pain in my back. I fell over on my side, as my body began to shrink. I screamed out in pain, as I felt my back start to tear open. I turned my head around, to see a cat's tail, a tan and white cat's tail, protruding from my back. I then returned to my hands and knees, or what I thought were my hands and knees, only to realize I was standing on 4 legs, with human feet and human hands, at a much lower level than normal. I jumped up on the sink, and looked at myself in the mirror. My head was much smaller, and resembled that of a cat. My ears had moved to the top of my head, and my nose had withdrawn inside my skull. I watched in horror, as tan and white fur began to cover my entire body, my face, and my head, causing my real hair to fall out, and land in the sink. I looked at my hands and feet, which were slowly turning into paws. I jumped off the sink, ran into the living room, past the open door, grabbed my phone, opened the Memos app, and began recording this. I don't know how much longer I have, before the full transformation happens. I'm going to run out of the door when it does. So, if you happen to see a tan and white cat in your yard, it's probably me. Please feed me. I promise I won't bite you. Meow, meow.